Hey everyone, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. I know everyone is waiting for my rant video, and that one is coming, but to also supplement the people that are staying on my channel to get some actual information, there you go, this video is for you, and the rant video will be coming up later. So today I want to look at the situation on one specific front line in Ukraine, and we're going to start with looking at Chasiv Yar. Now, one of the major attacks that Russia wants to develop is the direction of Bakhmut, because this direction is absolutely crucial for Russia to develop if they are looking to capture their declared target of capturing Donbass. So Chasiv Yar is a big fortress for Russia to take. So today, let's take a look at what's happening with Chasiv Yar, and thankfully there is already a nice person that looked at this, or more specifically a team. If you haven't followed Topography UA on Shitter, I recommend you doing so. I will also leave the thread link in the description to the video, so you can read it on your own. To put it shortly, Chasiv Yar is in a very good position. It's been always at the back line of Bakhmut. It's been always there to supply. The key things for us to consider, and this is important if you want to kind of look at the map in the future and consider what should we expect, we should open the topographic map first and foremost. And we see very, very simple things right away. First things first, red means high, therefore Chasiv Yar is located pretty much on the high ground. It's the peak position in the area. So Ukrainians, where they're controlling the high ground, has shown itself that despite the fact that we're fighting a modern war, who controls the high ground is the Jedi Knight. But what we also see is two toponyms that have been in the news recently. One is Bogdanivka, one is Ivanivske. Now you see also a lot of green and blue around this, and more specifically kind of these appendices right over here. Well, if we look at the Chasiv Yar direction from here, then we will see that Russia actually is specifically fighting for these directions, and they have been doing certain progress in the areas. But these areas is also in the valleys, so we could expect Russians to get some additional progress towards Chasiv Yar from the direction of Bogdanivka and Ivanivske. The fact that Ukrainians are still controlling the settlement more has to do to the fact that Ukrainians are controlling this part over here around the Canal District. So the Canal District is pretty much the focus point, and this is the key to Chasiv Yar, because even if Russians advance from Bogdanivka or from Ivanivske towards Chasiv Yar, they will be advancing in the low ground. So the hard part for them will be even harder if they will try to kind of move while being observed from all sides from the high ground. It's going to be a major slaughter for them. They don't want that. So that's why they are really interested to dislodge this Canal District. And Canal District is tricky. While it is on high ground and Ukrainians are still controlling it, it's not the most defensible position ever. Most notably, if we kind of go down, then actually the major defensive line that Ukrainians will probably hold around Chasiv Yar are located to the west of this Canal District. If we zoom in on this area right over here, you see like a little bit of parts of the building. This is the Canal District. But the most important thing, and I'm going to put it here in green, is this line over here. And this line over here is actually the canal. So if you look at these pictures, you will see how they will look. So you will see that here at the bottom, this is how the canals look like. It's pretty much like an anti-tank trench, like not naturally occurring, but man-built. Plus, additionally, on the northern part, there is additional certain pipes that are going along the canal. And in general, there are only couple of places that Russians can really cross this canal in 3 places, 3 bridges. And most likely Ukrainians will mine these bridges once they're going to start retreating from the Canal District. From there, Russia will probably, as described here for Tatargami by the big red arrows, Russia will probably attack through these areas once the bridges are destroyed. Therefore, when we look at this situation right over here, we could more or less see what's going to happen in the coming future as Russia will try to advance. They will potentially get certain success. They will potentially get through Bogdanivka, Ivanivske, close down these lowlands areas, maybe, or they get successful and then they take the central part. But basically, the only point on the map around Chasiv Yar in the stage 1 would be to look at these areas around Canal District. Once this area is taken by Russians, that means that most likely Ukrainians will fall back through this Canal District. And this will be a very formidable defense because it can be mined, it can be satcheled, artillery can work very precisely on these areas. So it's going to be a nice defensive position. Chasiv Yar is a fortress. Russia is still not yet reached the fortress. It's moving there, but I've heard somewhere in the media that Chasiv Yar should already be written off. It shouldn't. Russia is not even starting to approach it, let's put it this way. So Tatarigami talks about this again. You can read it through and so on, read his things. One of the interesting things, well, they note that, they team note that there were some videos of Russian columns approaching towards Chasiv Yar, and there were no mines. I don't think that this is a good enough argument, but this is my feeling, is because we know very well that Russia will move towards Chasiv Yar. We knew extremely well that the Russians are going to approach it, and we also knew that there are defensive positions being built around Chasiv Yar. So the fact that Russians didn't explode on these areas that were shown here, for me, is not telling enough. Potentially, it's not the positions that Ukraine once defended. But I don't know whether it was sabotage, whether there was demining operation, whether there was a leak. We don't know what happened. But the point is, there were certain videos and it was not nice. Second thing that is not nice for the defense of Chasiv Yar is that there appeared multiple videos of Russian planes, like close air support planes, flying pretty much right above the houses. Not in high altitude, not too far away, but right close to the front line, which could be taken down by using Stingers or any other manpads. This is something that Ukrainians will need to be taken into consideration in the way that they're going to be defending this area. Additional thing on the Russian tactics to kind of close off this segment is I've shown you this video last time, and I told you that this is a Russian tactic that is using, and it was one of the analysts that I was quoting for this. However, another video and another video and another video appeared from other places. For example, you cannot really see here because this is a video screenshot, but I marked with red circles. These are Russians on motorbikes. They are attacking Ukrainian positions by riding two motorbikes with two people on each of them. And the question here is, why is Russia doing this? The simple answer is, if you haven't seen videos from Perun, I should recommend you to watch Perun. But this is the effect of Ranyo. This is effect of Russian situation on the ground is not as good as the command is painting it. Most importantly is that this shows that Russian production is not keeping up with the losses. It doesn't mean that Russia doesn't have vehicles or equipment or armor. It just tells you two stories. A, that there is a lot of spreading of good news. For example, this battalion might have used up all of their APCs or tanks by previous battalion or group or whatever, and they were still ordered to attack, and therefore they can nominally say, no, of course we still have the BMPs, while in reality they don't, so just lying to their higher commands, and then they just go into attack anyway. So we basically getting, Russia is not getting the perception of how much vehicles they're having, how much vehicles the different battalions needs to be supplied. So a lot of their production that they're not releasing are being sent to other areas. And secondly, this talks about that the attrition rate for Russians are extremely high, that the number of what factories can output, even with and this is supplemented additionally by certain screenshots that we see with equipment coming from the Russian factories with bare bones modernizations, just some fast work to modernize, clean up, slap some contact armor like these explosive boxes on top of it, and there you go ahead. And we've seen plenty also of T-62s with little to no armor whatsoever, and therefore Russians are not able to keep up with production. So all of these big claims that Russian production is now sky high and rocketing and is beating everyone are complete bullshit. What it also tells us is that what I've told you all the time before, that while Russia still has the stocks, they can keep this high level of production. Once the stocks are out and they will need to build new things instead of just coming back from the storage, they are going to be screwed. At some point, Russia will run out. And that's the good news. And finally, a major thing is the flooding. Now, I'm pretty sure you've heard that Russians are experiencing a little bit of a problems. So a dam broke in Russian areas, and that dam that was supposedly damaged by rats and other infestations, probably Ukrainian biological weapons, has now unleashed significant floods in Russia. And the problem with that, I didn't cover it because who gives a shit about what's happening in Russia. But the problem is that this flood is keeping up, and now they are this flood and water is endangering the only Russian infantry fighting vehicle production facility. So there is a significant chance that the water level will raise so high because of that dam bursting that the only infantry fighting vehicle producing facility will be stopped for multiple weeks, if not months. There you go, a little bit of a good news today. I'm pretty sure Ukraine will do a great job. Slava Ukraini, guys. I'll make the rant video separately, and I'll see you next time.